in order for you to have the true muscle fiber stimulation on your body.
Fat
loss equals weight loss, not weight loss. Weight loss equals muscle loss. Body shape is the person's responsibility, but the body type is what your mama gave you.
Everyone's different. Everyone's unique to their DNA. 85% of what you eat, you said it's even a little bit more.
Yeah.
So,
hi, and good morning. Happy Sunday. My name is Tony Hill, and welcome you to the Fit Over 50. We have an amazing show for you today. It's the truth in personal training. Okay, and this is what we're going to talk about. We have a special guest. His name is John Frazier, and I'm looking so forward to talking to him. But before we get started, I really want you to share, subscribe. All the information you're going to see today, the things you're going to hear, it's going to be an amazing show, and I'm looking forward to it. And without further ado, I want to introduce to you my friend, my brother from another mother, Doug Jeffrey.
Hey, good morning, Tony.
Hey, what's up, brother? Happy Sunday, man.
You are my punctilious partner of salubrious activities. I love Tony.
I thought that, but I didn't say that because I'm always screwing it up, man. You know.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk to John Frazier. Through the Pain is his book. Personal trainer, and he's dealing with his own issues, his own ailments. So, and through the training, helping other people, he was able to help. It helped him deal with this, and it speaks volumes about about somebody that it's all about giving, and that's what we talk about.
Right.
You get more from giving, and our platform is all about sharing. We're all different, and we're talking about physical health, mental health. We're as we age, it's a gift to get old. You want to be physically fit so you can enjoy those golden years, and it's fit over 50 or fit up to 50. You got to start somewhere. And that's
whichever one comes first, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, hey man, you know what? I think we're going to start this off about, hey man, what have you been reading about out there? The things have been going on in the world. I mean, the AI.
Yeah,
AI
this is crazy.
over. Oh so man, news flash. We got some stuff for you today.
I know. So let's do this. There's 7 things that are potentially trending out there. So I'm going to read it.
Okay.
I want you to comment on it real quick. So here we go. So this is the wellness trends, what's going on. So the first one, millennials prioritize self-care. Millennials prioritize self-care.
Yeah, because of Big Pharma.
Yeah, there you go.
Big Pharma has actually taken away, the millennials are a lot smarter because there's more vegans out there than ever before in history. Yeah.
I think the world is becoming much more aware.
Oh yeah.
We talk about all the GMOs, all the food being adulterated. So these guys, this generation's a little quicker on that one. So next one, number 2, fasting goes mainstream.
Well, fasting has always been around for thousands of years. The key is intermittent fasting.
Yes.
Yeah, but in some areas of the entertainment business, fasting has kind of merged into eating disorders.
I mean, that's one of the things that you have to be really careful about that. And anything in moderation is fine. And there's studies done with cancer patients with chemo and radiation.
Yeah,
if they fast through it, it mitigates a lot of the side effects.
Exactly.
So there are benefits to this, as you said. It's been around for thousands of years.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to be aware that can't turn into something, and bulimia and anorexia are it's a serious disease that primarily females are the ones that deal with this, but there is a percentage of males, and based on it's about control.
Yeah,
it's
it
not
is
about
really.
how you look for the most part. It's about being able to control something. So I speak about that because I actually dealt with that issue many years ago. So that's why I have the ability to speak about it.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. Number 3, rise of robots. This is really important because as we go through it, we're gonna pick one of these and really go after it. So
yeah, I tell you what though, they're going to AI is going to replace. They're trying to get it to replace people even in personal training, in fitness. They're trying to give you a AI as a fitness trainer. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, some of the things you can't remove that personal element.
Right.
Anyway, we're gonna pick that one, and we're gonna dig deeper on that. Increased focus on mental health. Totally agree. Mental health, it's trending. I mean, not only is it the physical health, but mentally, it's mind, body, and soul. You have to have all those things.
And I think COVID had a lot to do with that too. It increased that. Yeah, I think being at home because we're human and we need that contact, and I think too, again, family is being just eviscerated, man. Family it just doesn't exist anymore, hardly. And so that's the main foundation of mental health.
Yeah, well-being. Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, it's just you don't even see it anymore. I mean, it's like you got this guy who got 18 kids and then he gets with somebody else who's got 18 kids and then she gets
Well, I know, but I think having children is the most important thing any human being will do in their lifetime, is bring another human being into this world. And a lot of people, I hate to say, just do it for the wrong reasons.
And let me give you a little latest research. Latest research, what they did, they took some elephants, right? And you might have heard of this research many years ago, and I'll say it really quick because we got some more to go to. But they took some elephants and they took away all the adult males from the elephants. But this is after they impregnated the female elephants, right? So they took away all the adults. Now, when the babies came, and especially the male elephants, they began to kill each other. And they thought it was poachers at first for the tusk, but it wasn't. What they did, they had it on video that because they had removed the adult males, the pack wasn't able to survive simply because of the presence. And it was really interesting because when they put them back in, everything was okay.
Yeah, family.
It was crazy.
Foundation.
When you talk about mental health, it's really a real thing. It's a real thing, and we need each other as a human race. We need each other. Yeah, I mean, just a touch, baby, just a touch.
Just a touch. But you look at all the, at one point mass shootings were a daily occurrence, and yes, guns should be controlled, but it's the mental health of the person that's pulling the trigger, the suicide rates, everything, and that really is. It's the mental health, and it stems from a lot of different things. But I totally agree with with the family. So moving on.
Yeah.
As we said, healthcare strategies begin to rely on AI.
Brother, you know what? We were on the same page, Doug, and that's what's so interesting, man. Because while you're talking about AI, that was one of the things that Ariel sent me, and one of the things we were looking into, because the doctors and personal trainers are actually warning against this. And it's they're really trying to push this narrative, man.
Yeah, but I know, but it's amazing. The internet is great, and it's bad, great, and good and bad.
Yes.
But did you ever get something that you got going on in your body and you can't figure it out what it is, and you go down that rabbit hole on the internet and you think you're dying?
I have a son.
Everybody
I have a son.
We all do it. It's like, oh my God, what is it?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. That's for the doctors and let them diagnose what's wrong with you. So I totally agree with that. Probiotics and prebiotics go mainstream.
Yes, they do. I think that we're finding out now that gut health is the most important thing now, because again, remember last week I think it was week before, we talked about antibiotic. When you get something anti in you, it kills the pre and the pro. But we have to now replace the pre and the pro, because now we're learning that it's valuable for us. Yeah.
Yes, and there is a there needs to be a happy harmony between your gut and your brain. The intrinsic nervous system is considered the mini brain, which is in the gut.
Right.
A good gut biome, everything's working properly, prebiotic, probiotic. It really does, affect your sense of well-being. So it's so important.
Yes.
Everything needs to fire correctly. Here's a great one. This is number 7. Expanding use of health wearables.
Can you explain?
Well, the Apple Watch, all these heart monitoring. They even have the rings that monitor your sleep. And I agree. I mean, take care of or take advantage of technology as much as you can. But now we're going to go AI. Yes, it's good, but it cannot replace people. It's going to put so many people out of work. The whole writer's strike and the actors. I mean, a lot of it is fighting over AI. I mean, AI can, you give it a couple bullet points and it'll write your whole script.
Exactly.
Put people out of work.
Yeah. And see this little baby I showed you right here. Now, this was advertised a long time. We're speaking of AI, but this is advanced, but it's not. Well, yeah, it is, because an EKG costs you a lot of money, a lot. This little piece of equipment right here can actually do an EKG.
Oh, wow.
And it's attached to your phone. It's attached to your phone. And literally, once it completes your EKG, you could literally send it to a doctor.
That's amazing. That's taking advantage of it. And I'll tell you, there's stories of people wearing the Apple Watch that they noticed it. And the Apple Watch has you can set alarms and warnings on it.
Exactly.
Where in fact your heart rate is doing crazy things, and it allows, gives you the warning, and you're off to a hospital. Otherwise, you would never know. So, I mean, technology, yes, to fully automate. As I said, it's great, and we're getting lazy too. I think ask it for what you don't have to think.
Right. I think the most important thing too, Doug, is what the guest we're going to have on today with John. John has stories like that you'll never be able to find, and they're so valuable because they're human. They're
the human element. You cannot.
Right. They're really stories like that are just amazing to hear from. And AI, along with a lot of other things that we're trying to do, you're going to eliminate that human spirit. And I know I've seen a lot of movies where you can kill anything, but the human spirit, you just can't seem to kill. You just find a way. You know what I mean?
I mean, look at Terminator. I mean, is this AI going to take over the world? Post-apocalyptic, the whole 9 yards. Chances are it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But life imitates art. Art imitates life. You gotta, you always have to take that into consideration. So yes, John Frazier. He has a book. It is called Through the Pain. I actually got a copy of it yesterday.
Oh wow!
I'd have the ability to read the whole thing, but I was skimming it. The Silent Suffering and Triumph of a Personal Trainer.
Wow.
I know John. He is fighting a debilitating disease, and he, as I said earlier in the show, he's giving back, and through his clients, he was able to help himself. So, without any further ado, let's bring John Frazier on. Is he going to pop up there? Good morning, John.
Morning.
Hello, John. How are you?
AI will not replace it.
Yeah.
Is that really John? Is that, we got to make sure, man.
No, I'm a robot.
Yeah, but they're even saying that AI can. I mean, it could just create a person.
Yeah. Go. You got to see that movie. You got to see the movie. What is it? Tyrone. Cloning of Tyrone.
Oh yeah, I was watching with Jamie Foxx. I started to watch a little bit of it.
Oh, you got to see that. Oh,
yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
So, John, thank you for coming on this lovely Sunday to our platform, Fit Over 50, or as Tony says, Fit Up to 50.
And you know that's true because we all three are wearing our glasses so we could see each other.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm gonna be 61. This guy's gonna be just turned 64.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's senior citizen age, man.
I got one more year.
And John, how old are you?
No,
You're up there.
I'm almost 54, so I'll be 54 in a few weeks actually.
Fit over 50, and so you've been a personal trainer since your early 20s, correct?
Yeah, I started in a gym when I was 19 years old. I was a floor trainer. You take people through the Nautilus. You know,
I remember that.
The Nautilus circuit.
Yes.
So I was working for $4.25 an hour as a floor trainer back in 1980. What was fall of '88? And then so I worked my way up and became the fitness director at the club there in Dallas when I was 21. I was probably the youngest fitness director ever, and I started their first personal training program there. And then about a year later, I started Frazier Fitness. So when I was 22, I branched off. I quit the job as the fitness director, and then I just went full-time personal training and have ever since. So it's been over 33 years now.
Wow.
I think. I was one of the first certified personal trainers in the United States. There was a certification came out. There was an IDA, which is the International Dance and Exercise Association. They had their certification, and they did a personal training certification. I took that one, and then a year later, ACE, or American Council of Exercise, came out, and I had to retake the test. And I was one of the first 500 guys in the United States to be certified.
Wow, congrats!
So I actually started when the personal training started, being kind of mainstream.
Wow.
Yeah, because I can remember when Gold's Gym, all of a sudden, everybody needed to carry a liability policy. They needed all their certifications, which, there's a lot of people out there that really didn't have the experience or the knowledge trying to, help somebody else. I mean, their intentions might have been good. Tony, how long have you been training people?
Ooh, over 40 years.
Yeah.
I like he said, I remember all that, man. I actually was one of the first ISSA.
Yeah.
I was I worked with Tom Platz for like 5 years.
Oh, okay.
And when Dr. Hatfield started it in, I think it was 1994, 1995, I was one of the first to take that test. So it's like I've been with them I'm their success story, you might say. Because at that time they didn't have a business development element, and most programs, they try to do that, but they don't really have that. They just want you to get certified, and you know how it is, John. You get your certificate now. Okay, you're on top of the world. You're supposed to know everything because and then but the experience that you have and that you have to learn and walk and be that example. They don't want to do that anymore. They just want to get educated, So it's changed for me, and I can see, and I can really attest to what John is saying. His story is just almost identical to mine, because when I went into the military in 1978, when I got out of the military, I actually started at a health club in Victorville, California, and it was Nautilus Health Club.
Yeah,
it's funny. I worked at
in New Jersey. That's what.
Did you do biometrics? You remember biometrics?
Yeah,
I think protocol, right?
And you know what they did? They sent me to school, to the Nautilus Training Center.
Oh, okay.
And then I learned, but it was a great piece of equipment, though. It was interesting.
It really, it's antiquated now, but the chain system and stuff, it did work really well. We had life cycles and life.
Yeah. I remember that. So, and then when I became the manager of a club, and then of course
similar. You guys were very similar.
Very similar, because I started my first business After got graduated from dental school, I worked in dentistry for a minute, but I didn't like that career. After I did all that work and got my credentials, I went into law enforcement. And so while I was working in law enforcement in 1991, I said, you know what? I love fitness. So I quit the gym because I was working the gym and doing my job. So I quit that and I started private home fitness in 1991, man. And then from there, bro, I mean, remember Jake Stansfield?
Yeah.
Body by Jake?
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Hey, John, we better be quiet, man. This audience out here, they really showing.
Yeah, well, ask me what you wanted. We'll talk later. Yeah.
So, John,
yeah,
through the pain. So, tell our audience, because you have, I believe it's AS. We talked before we went on the air. I'm not even. I'm gonna butcher that. So,
that's all right. It's AS stands for Ankylosing spondylitis, and it's in the arthritic family. It is considered an autoimmune disease.
Okay.
And it's basically the arthritis attacks my spine and my hips, and ultimately what happens is fusion of the spine and hips. And there's the laundry list of all the other things. Psoriasis. It affects the muscles, the tendons, the ligaments, your calf muscles. Plantar fasciitis is a symptom of intestinal issues, which you guys were talking about, which I have a lot to say about we can get to that.
Yeah, most definitely.
Because AS has a lot of, because when I was first diagnosed, I was 27 when I was diagnosed, but I had been having problems since I was in high school. I wore a back brace when I played football, and the doctor, I had, back problems, and they just said, it's growing pains. They didn't do any x-rays or anything. They just said, it's growing pains. Here's some muscle relaxants. Here's a back brace. Have fun, And so I just assumed everybody went through that kind of pain in their back because they just said it was growing pains. I said, well, I guess everyone. It took me like years later when I got older. I was asked my friend, I said, when you wake up, does your spine just hurt all the time? He's like, what? No. So it was my first time I realized, okay, I do. This is different. This isn't how other people experience the world. So, so little did I know. But through my 20s, I was having issues. I was still lifting, and I was actually lifting quite heavy weights then, and almost to the point of bodybuilding. And then my back started. My SI joints, or the sacroiliac joints, is the two ball things in your base of your spine, kept popping out. And a physical therapist was having to put it in every week, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And he was stomped, and he started poking around, and then he pushed on my lower abdomen. And I was like, oh, wow, that hurts. And I said, what is that? And he goes, that's your lymph nodes. You're really swollen there. So that was the first indication that there was something my body was filtering, or there was some inflammation of some sort. And then it took a long time for the diagnosis. But I was having so much intestinal issues that they did sigmoidoscopies and barium enemas and all kinds of stuff to check that out. And that turned out to be okay, because the AS affects the nerves that run through the base of your spine. So the problem when there's a flare-up is it hits the nerves and it compresses the intestinal tract. So there was nothing, when they scoped me, there was nothing to see at the time. So they were confused, and I couldn't keep anything down. I was losing weight. And a real smart doctor, watched me walk and saw my gait, and they did a blood test. And HLA-B27 is a gene that you test positive for in order to be diagnosed, and then with x-rays and observation. So it's a real hard diagnosis. Most people, and I was lucky for that long ago to get that diagnosis, was even harder than it is today. A few years ago, we found out my sister has also been diagnosed with AS.
Wow. So it's a genetic.
It is a genetic. Well, it's the HLA-B27 gene. And so for whatever reason, it was more dormant in her. And then she started having some issues. And I even kind of said, I think you need to go get tested. You're describing a lot of things that I go through. And so it was, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, somewhere in there.
When was it first? When? Because I know you said you had a hard. I've never heard of it before, and
this is my first.
Yeah, you said that they had a hard time, and so you found the right doctor. When was it first recognized and noted that they somebody obviously had it, and then from the research, and they contributed to that. So when was it first put in the record book, so to speak?
Well, when I was 27, that was when the doctor said, this is the diagnosis. I mean, it had taken most of that year, 6 to 8 months, I think. I went to several different doctors, and once he did the blood draw and he tested for that gene, and he, like I said, it's rare to a degree. I forget now how many, but it could be 1 million people, 2 million, somewhere there. I mean, which is considered still a very small percentage of the population has it, but even then, it was just unusual that to get that diagnosis, because they didn't know to test for it. They didn't know what to.
Yeah.
Right.
But 27 years old, and there wasn't a lot then. There wasn't really the biologics and the different drugs and stuff. And I went to the Arthritis Center of Texas, and the guy said, "Okay, we're going to put you on this stuff," and it's made me just fall asleep at the wheel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the problem with all
stuff
a lot of these drugs. The side effects, they might be great for the one thing, but there's a bevy of things that aren't really great for you. So it's the trade-off, I guess.
Really, what happened after that is 6 months later, he switched me to another medication, and I said, "Well, why?" And then I was like, "Oh, I'm the guinea pig."
Yeah.
Because I said, "Well, it seemed to be working." I said, "Why are we switching?" And he didn't have an answer. Yeah. And then I said, "You know what? I'm not going to take, because at the time, it's a progressive disease, and let me tell you, it does progress."
So the difference when you first were basically diagnosed with it to now, I mean, we're talking quite a time. What is your physical capabilities? What is the difference?
A lot. Like I said, back then, I'd be mostly fine. I'd have flare-ups. Flare-ups are a period of time in which, for unknown reasons, sometimes the doctors say it's weather. I found sometimes by just tweaking myself somehow, doing something can start a flare-up, and a flare-up can last probably, I've never had one last under 2 weeks, and they can go as far as 4 months. And what that is your body is in a total inflammatory period where you're stiff, it's hard to walk, the amount of pain feels like a knife that's being stabbed in my spine all the time. Like that's the feeling. And so over time, the flare-ups came more frequently, because in my 30s, I remember I could still run. I was running 6 miles every other day, and doing a big 10-mile run at the end of the week. And I was lifting, I was in, really good shape. And over the time, what happens is that you realize you can't do as much as you used to. Now my workouts are, I haven't run. I can't. I mean, there's days where I can't even physically do anything. And there's now this new thing where it's a new thing. It's fun. That I just can't. I'll be walking along, and then I just stop because I can't walk, and it's neurological, kind of situation. My body just freezes for a moment. Yeah.
Well, we just got. I'm sorry to interrupt you, John. We just got a question. Maybe we can all chirp in on this, and how does exercise benefit you, and does it?
Well, yeah. I mean, what's funny is it did for most of my life. Exercise. If I was stiff, if I was having some issues, I could stretch or start doing some cardio, get the blood pumping, and that would always help. And stretching is very, very important with what I have. And I continue to do that. But what's changed over the time is that sometimes I'm realizing that exercise can be more detrimental than it is helpful now. So I have to be so careful on, like today, I've been moving this stuff around and my back's not in a great place. Not the best day to go in there and start lifting weights. But today is my day that I should stretch, and do a long, really, long stretch to just kind of, and not force the stretch, whereas I used to maybe force it. Now it's a much more relaxed. Everything is just tamped down, but it does still help. And the reason I think I'm in the shape that I still am with what I have is because of the exercise. And eating right, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to take care of yourself. I mean, if you look in the mirror and you don't like what's looking back at you. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, if you're happy, if you love yourself and everything's working correctly, you have so much more to offer. And that's really what it's about. And exercise, the discipline that it takes to create and change that lifestyle, that applies to every aspect of your life. I mean, that's the beauty of it. Granted, as as we age, everything's changing, it's modifying, but you have to do something. If you don't use it, you lose it. So it's changed my life. It's great for stress. There's so many things, benefits from just getting out there and moving, whether, as we said before, the aging, I never stretched before. And now I realize how important of it is. And somebody just asked a question, the idea of your daily diet. I mean, we talk about this, Tony, all the time.
Right.
I say diet's 85%
right.
of your workout regimen or your lifestyle change, because you could be working out to your blue in the face, and if you're putting the wrong fuel in your body, you're not going to get any kind of results. And we're all different, so that's why we're all about awareness.
Hey John, so what is your diet? What give us an idea of
usually it's usually pizza for breakfast.
John. And that leads me to another question.
in a perfect world, that would be true, right? I talk about in the book, I do cover diet because, it's funny because even as a trainer, and Tony, this, over the years, the things change, remember the fat-free and the diet, and coffee's good, coffee's bad, wine's good, wine's bad, like we go through these cycles of things being good and bad for us. But something that I never knew until more recent years is, nightshades, anti-inflammatory foods. And, because you think, if you eat fruit and vegetables, that's healthy, that's good for you. But I didn't realize how much things in the nightshade family, and that's something that I ate a lot of, tomatoes. And these other things. And I list in the book all the different nightshades and cutting those out, cutting gluten out. I know, and I used to be the guy, cutting gluten out, and then I do it, and I'm like, it makes a difference.
Exactly. Because we're all different. I mean,
true.
Tony can eat things that might bother me or bother you. That's why it's the awareness. It's really paying attention to what you put in your mouth. Then you go, that didn't work for me, I'm gonna have to cut that out. But that's really what it's about. In your book, I saw that you dedicated this to your very first client. What's that all about? What was his name?
Jim Johnson.
Jim Johnson.
Jim, I met at the gym when I was.
You met Jim Johnson at the gym.
Jim Johnson at the gym, and it sounds like a tongue twister.
That is a tongue twister.
So, I met him at the gym, and he was overweight at the time, and this is before I started Frazier Fitness, and I worked him out, but I think he felt more comfortable working out at home, with a trainer. Because, at the time, I remember, Tony, people were kind of still a little, it's embarrassing, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
In the gym. And so there were some people, so he was my first home client, and we worked out at his home. And we've stayed friends all these years. But into this, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's over 20-something years ago. And now he's in the later stages of it, and it's not great. But he did edit the book, and so I wanted to dedicate it to him because he's always been. I'm also dyslexic. We could list the laundry list of things wrong with me, but
but you still did it. You overcame all that, and congratulations.
But being dyslexic, I bring it up in the book because, writing a book as a dyslexic person is like the most ridiculous thing you ever think of. But I had something I wanted to say, and so I was the only one that's going to be able to do it. But Jim has always been the guy that fixes what I write. I used to write for a country club magazine. I'd write fitness articles, and over the years, I've kind of done some of the fitness stuff, writing for magazines or whatever. But I have him check all my stuff. So when it came to the book, and he really wanted to do it, so that's why I dedicated it.
Congratulations! Just overcoming the fact that you are dyslexic, And as you said, writing a book is like something that's extremely hard.
It took forever.
Yeah.
I started during the pandemic. I mean, it took over 2.5 years. So
wow. Hey,
Yeah,
John,
also-
where can we get your book? I want
let's
to
put it up. It's on Amazon, right?
Yeah,
Well,
while John is talking, so that we can have
right,
our audience.
right now it's on Amazon. You can get it in the Kindle version or the paperback, which you're seeing there on the screen. And I think you have a link that you said you were going to put in the chat. There was a link I sent to you guys. Maybe they could put it up in the chat, and you just click on the link and it'll take.
The link is in the description. So the link will be for when somebody goes back to watch this.
Or you can just go to Amazon and put in Through the Pain, John Frazier.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the cover too. The little broken. The little broken dumbbell. That's great.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's really.
Well, you know,
kind of cool.
what's funny about that is the dumbbells. Those are actually a stock photo of, and I use in my business. You know, my business cards and postcards and all my stuff. But when I was writing the book Through the Pain, I wanted, and it's a representative of my spine. And if you think the dumbbell is my spine and it's cracked in half, it's just to show that, I don't know. That's
no, you get it. You totally get it. I also read too that you in your book you said you had a little bit of a relationship with a young lady that had MS, which I found very very touching. That you guys were able to bond between both suffering from that's why every day it's so important to show gratitude.
Yeah,
you wake up, you're blessed. I mean, there's people that don't wake up, and to complain about different things, it doesn't do really any good, because with John's situation, still being a trainer, still working out, with having AS, and I admire you, John, and I
AS again, John. What is that, John? AS
is called Ankylosing spondylitis.
No, that's not arthritis or anything like that. It's different.
No, I mean it is. Ankylosing spondylitis is a form of arthritis. You have rheumatoid, and it just depends on what it affects. Ankylosing spondylitis is an arthritic condition. Some of my spine's already fusing, and so what it does is that the arthritis actually basically fuses the bones together, so there's less mobility, and there's no, like, I can't twist certain direction, kind of thing. But
so what's the difference? So MS is multiple sclerosis. That's deterioration.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I dated her for just a short period of time. Lovely person. I think we bonded over the similarities in which we go through. Now, but what I understand with MS, I'd rather have AS than MS.
Yeah.
Wow.
Most, that affects the muscles and neurological condition versus what mine is more my spine and bone. Because mine can also, and it hasn't, but it can affect the other joints, shoulders, elbows, knees.
Right.
Well, my ankles are affected, actually. So I do have some peripheral arthritis in the other joints, but MS, I mean, is really much more severe in my estimation. Now, other people with AS maybe disagree.
Yeah, disagree.
But there's levels of AS. There's levels of MS. I mean, there is a slight possibility of going blind with AS because of the pressure that it puts on the optic nerve. I do have times where I'll have a blurred vision really bad and a flare up and stuff like that. So, but the going blind is a very rare thing, but it is a possibility. Like I said, there's so many things that can happen. And so AS is a different experience for everybody that has it. I feel like I'm lucky. And you were talking about gratitude, and that's something I wanted to mention, is something I developed during the pandemic, was a meditation and stretching routine. And I've stayed with it. And I always have meditated. I've always stretched, but I've made it like and the gratitude thing. So I lie down, I'd start my meditation, I do my gratitude, and you can just do like 5 or 10 things you're grateful for that day. And it can be repetitive if it wants to be, that's fine. Yeah. And the last thing, and then I go into the stretch. And then after that, it's a different feel. I said,
Yeah, it is, because not only as you said, you're showing the gratitude, but the endorphins that are released through the stretching really, our brains, chemical, electric, and magnetic. So all of that, it's and breathing through all this. It's amazing how you can really change your state of mind, and it's a perspective.
And like I said, I never. People ask me too if well, do you ever feel sorry for yourself or get down? It's like, when I was diagnosed, I never just, why me? Why,
Yeah.
Poor me, why me? I just was like, well, what do I got to do to get on with it? It was more the attitude. Now, I'm not going to lie and say I don't have those bad days where I'm like, this sucks. I mean, there are days where the pain is so much, there's no relief in sight. It can really take a toll. But I try to remind myself in those moments that there's people that have it much worse.
Yes,
I see the homeless guy on the street, and I'm not homeless. I can walk most of the time, some people can't. So I try to look at the perspective of no matter how bad it is, it could be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way you want to do it. But, also too, you still work out, even though you have this disease. And, we always talk about, Tone, there's no excuse not to do something.
Yeah.
I mean, depending, based on your health, you got to consult with your doctor, whatever, but you can walk. I mean, you start with that. So, and then the food. What is your diet based on? I know the nightshades, high protein, low carbohydrate.
Give us an example, John. Yeah. Your day. What do you eat in a day?
Yeah.
Well, I like I said, I try to, it's more along the lines of a Mediterranean diet. If you're familiar with that, because the thing that I can have olives and mushrooms and salads and chicken. Right. I try to, I mean, it's hard to do sometimes because of the expense of it, but I try to do, pasture eggs, pasture chicken, because there's nothing that's been put into them. Yeah. But the healthier you eat, the more expensive it can become.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Exactly. Especially the way our food is totally adulterated here in the U.S. We were talking a couple shows ago where there's a lot of, especially on the preservative side, that are in our foods that are banned in the EU, but for whatever reason, they allow them here, and they're labeled as being healthy.
Well, and we're much more obese than they are there, and you realize why. Yeah. We have I think I even bring this up in the book, but it's great in one way. We've figured out a way of mass producing food in a relatively cheap way that everyone can stuff themselves, and that's why most of Americans, we waddle around, because we have more food than we know. You go to, like you said, Europe, and it's like, they have chicken, but it's, smaller chicken, and they're not pumped up, and they're not full.
How about
they're not out there like lifting lots of weights, like our chickens are.
Yeah, well, the chicken that was made in the lab. Tony, you have that video that we were looking at where the guy took a bite out of that chicken wing?
Oh, you talking about KFC?
KFC, and it started to move around.
You know what?
I don't want to see that.
No,
it's kind of creepy.
I don't think.
Can you imagine taking a bite and put it down, and this thing's like squirming around like it's alive?
I didn't want to. I didn't want to get in. I didn't want to get canceled so fast, man. KFC, because you have that box of KFC right there, and then you have the chicken. The guy actually, he had chicken wings and a drumstick or a leg. But you know how you have the leg and the wing attached? Well. He had actually bit into one, right, and the drumstick had the skin folded down, but it was literally moving.
It was creepy.
It was creepy. It was creepy.
Yeah,
engineered in a lab.
Yeah, you were saying earlier about I've leaned into. I don't think I could ever go totally without some. Meat, protein, like chicken and stuff. But I have really cut way back in that, over the years, and I have a lot less beef and a lot less stuff. And if I do, I have grass fed, but I do, I try to have wild caught fish, grass fed beef if I want to have any beef. I do like more lamb because they don't lamb is something they don't mess with and put a lot of extra hormones and stuff in it.
Right. Lamb is pretty good for you.
And I cut out most, a lot of dairy. I do almond milk if I do any. And I try to do like either an oatmeal or some kind of gluten-free cereal of some sort, and fruit in the morning is kind of my thing.
Yeah,
So
do you eat Captain Crunch in the morning?
no Captain Crunch.
Oh man,
we actually
that's like Captain Crunch.
I used to love it.
I know, we used to love it as kids, and it was marketed. You're marketing it to kids, and the number 2 ingredient is sugar. We went through a whole episode talking about Captain Crunch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is I tell people, do the perimeter shopping. You know what that is, right?
No.
Perimeter shopping means you just go along the thing. So think about what's along the perimeter of the grocery stores. It's the milk, dairy products, the fish.
Oh, yeah.
All the way around the outside. Oh, I get it.
All the way around is all where the fresh vegetables, fruits, all that. In the aisles is where all the processed stuff is. I mean, there are a few exceptions. Obviously, you got to pick up some ketchup or something, but generally,
ketchup, the Heinz ketchup or whatever. I mean, it's high fructose corn syrup. That high fructose corn syrup, your body doesn't know what to do with it, and studies show that it actually triggers a gene or a receptor in the brain that makes you want to eat more.
But you have to get the right ketchup, though. That's
you can get the right ketchup without
a healthy one.
Yeah, I mean, see all that stuff. That's why it's so important to read labels.
Yes.
Yeah.
And perimeter shop. I'm next time I go into.
I like that perimeter shop.
I'm going to look at the whole perimeter shopping.
and you get all your stuff because it's fresh fruits, vegetables, fish, whatever. And then you might have to go up and down the aisles for a couple things. I mean, obviously, gluten-free pasta is probably on the aisle, but if you do most of your shopping on the perimeter, you're good.
Yeah.
I mean, canned stuff, so there's a lot of preservatives, stuff like that. There are some frozen things that are fine, but generally speaking, you want to do as fresh as you can.
Yeah, fresh as you can. I mean, that's what it
because
is.
Right now, I tell you guys, which it's kind of like it's going to be a controversial show. I was thinking about in the future. Some of the things you said, John, that. I'm going to segue into what I was going to say with this question to you, John. That situation that you're dealing with right now wasn't in your family trait, was it? It's just something that you start feeling weird and it happened, or it was someone in your family who actually had that gene?
It's hereditary. It's a family thing. There is a distant cousin I think had AS, but
okay.
It's one of those things too. They say that the HLA-B27 gene, you can have that gene, and it doesn't seem to go beyond that. It's like you can have that, but it doesn't develop into AS. So some studies and some research that I've done says that being, and it is, women do have it, but I mean, it's more males, females, and it is a hereditary genetic thing. And some suggestions, or at least some studies, say that it's possible that playing sports and doing stuff early is an activating force into it. So I played football and basketball and track and that kind of stuff. And we'll never know. And then, like I said, I don't know if that study is 100%. They don't really probably know, but they think that being that kind of active early could be a way that it generates and becomes into. Yeah, but it's definitely hereditary.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I just tried to search it to see what would come up. Just
me
two
too,
initials, and it's it's something that is not. I'm assuming it's not very common too.
Right, but I do
a couple million people.
Yeah, but I do agree with something that John said. That I mean, it's because probably you had the same experience, John, in your years of being in the industry. A kid who's suffering from injuries of a 30 and 40-year-old because he started sports early in his age and he was very good at it, and now he's dealing with rheumatoid arthritis, all kind of stuff, especially football. Man,
yeah,
football is one of those things, and I get a lot of gymnasts too. I mean, oh my God, it's like crazy. I had a gymnast here. She was an elite gymnast. Started when she was probably, what's the earliest age? 6 or 7, whatever.
I'm at 3, 4.
Yeah, and
Short-lived too.
And I can tell you, John, she probably had that and some, because I have far infrared therapy.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff.
Right, that I use for my clients. I had my tent down here in my home, and
I'll be over in a little bit. I'll come right over.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm submerged in it. Yesterday I was in it, and what happens is that I had to put her in there, John, every day that she came over, because she was in such excruciating pain, joint pain, and her mother was pushing her to still, because at this point she was 17. But her injuries, when you were describing your spine and things like that, can you imagine a 17-year-old girl? Those symptoms that you were saying, John, she was saying to me. And when I'm listening to you, I'm going, wow. I had to stop working with her, because I actually had to go to her mother. And I had to tell her mother, you need to listen to your daughter. She's experiencing this and this. I cannot, in good conscience, work with her if you're not going to help me help her. I mean, she was 17, John, and the symptoms you told me is literally what she was telling me.
Wow.
Literally.
I mean, she could have it. I mean, or something.
Yeah.
Similar. I mean, the thing about different other autoimmune diseases, there's a lot of overlap. And, like you said, Doug, when you look up something, you go down the rabbit hole, you have a cough and you could die. You look up.
Exactly. So many.
Yes,
We all do that. We all do that.
So there's so much overlap. Like I said, that's why we had COVID. We didn't know if it was a cold or flu or COVID, right, because the overlap of symptoms. So there's no difference in diseases. There's overlap in symptoms. That's why when I dated that girl for a little bit of time, the MS, it was it was just this back and forth of I didn't know you could you went through that. And so I don't like commiserating. Like a lot of groups get together, they just feel sorry for this hurts and everything. So bad. I like to communicate with someone, because you don't feel it makes you go, okay, other people go through this. Yes. And that's even no matter what it's called, AS, MS, this, that, there's 1,000 things. And why I wrote the book was to make sure that the person that silently suffers knows there are other people out there that do too, because I didn't at the time. And I wanted to make sure that, and also that there is life after being diagnosed with something, that if you work hard like I have, and look, it's not easy and it's painful. I'm not going to lie. It hurts a lot all the time, but it's how you want to look at it. It's how you want to frame it.
That's true. I mean, we've known each other for a while, and up until you shared this with myself a couple months ago, I believe, I would never know.
No,
I would never know. So,
I hid it a long time. I could hide it very well. I'm talking about it now because of, one, the book, and two, because I can't hide it like I can.
And you got to share too. I mean, that's what it's all about. You're an inspiration to other people that maybe have different diseases or similar diseases, but also to the person that's sitting on the couch that's been talking about, I got to start working out, I got to start doing something, I got to change the way that I eat. Yeah. So, if you can do it, the person that is not dealing with what you've been given to deal with, they say, God doesn't give you anything you can't handle. So it's time to take control of your health.
Yeah.
There's been a few days where I'm lying there going, this is more than I can handle. This is, but I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm just stubborn, but I just I don't let the pain stop me. And that's why the title of the book is called Through the Pain, because no matter what you have, no matter what, and even if you don't have something, there's a certain amount of pain that's I was just watching this thing about NFL quarterbacks, and so, and you see, these are young Mahomes, these guys, they're young football guys, and the amount of pain that they experience when you see it from behind, behind the scenes, in order to play. And these are 25-year-old guys that they're, twisting their ankle and they're hobbling on their ankle. I mean, there's pain even if you don't have a disease.
Right.
And the way to get to the other side of it is through.
Yeah, I remember playing high school ball, and the next day, the next 2 or 3 days, your whole body hurts.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like being hit by a car every week.
Exactly.
They say that playing in a football game is like being hit by a car going at least 35 to 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And in the NFL, I think it's like being hit by a car going 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, especially some of these older quarterbacks in their late 30s, early 40s, getting hit by a 350-pounder that's 22 years old. I mean, ouch.
Yeah. So you don't have to have a disease, disability in order to have issues. You just have to realize that there's a certain amount of pain you have to take in order to get. I've had injuries that not related to the AS, like torn. Well, you'll see in the book I talk about all my injuries, but tore hamstring and have to go through rehab. And when you rehab that stuff, there's a lot of pain. I think the misconception of rehab is that it's supposed to be pain free because they say, if it hurts, stop. No, that's not the case at all. You have to. I ask, if I push too hard, is there a way that I could screw it up? And they're like, no. Then you go as hard as you can in order to get the function back. So if you want full range of motion again, you better go through those steps. And it's not pain-free. It is painful.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes rehab is more painful than the injury itself. And you have to know this because a lot of people go, oh, and then they never get better because it hurts. So I just stopped. It hurt. And I work with clients on this. I go, okay, but what kind of pain, we have to walk through it. And it's like, just because it hurt once doesn't mean if we try it again, it won't hurt. It's just that we need to get the right position. If it's a squat, because people try to do a squat. Oh, no, can't do it. It hurt.
Right.
Like, right. Give it a minute. Let me work with you a little bit. Let's get the form. And then all of a sudden we get the form right there. Oh, that didn't hurt. I'm like, well,
right.
You gotta give it a second, and sometimes things are going to hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
And saying what you're saying, boy, John, is so inspirational for me, because we in the business, we see people give up on themselves before they even get started. And I think what resonates with me listening to you today, and very inspirational to me, is that if there was anything that I could say that for me epitomizes me meeting you for the first time today, is that the pain you feel today will be the strength you feel tomorrow.
Well said, Tony.
And you've actually changed it. You've actually, just seeing you just seeing your face is like, I can just imagine that when somebody's sitting in front of you, you only tell your story when it's time to tell your story. Yeah. But the essence of you being in front of someone, I mean, it embodies hope. And it just reminds me of the pain you feel today will be the strength you feel tomorrow. Every day you're getting stronger and stronger, and you're not ever looking back, but you're pushing forward. And that's what a personal coach, not a personal trainer, is about. A personal coach is the real deal. A personal trainer is just an educated person with no life.
I've always been a personal trainer coach because
exactly. Yeah.
Because I don't just speak at them. I try to inspire and
but you embody that though, John.
Yeah,
you embody that,
John.
Yeah, you embody that, man. And that's why I do what I do, man. I mean, I'm a little cuckoo in the head,
Oh, I can tell. Funny. We'll get along.
We all are.
I'm crazy, military, Korea, law enforcement. Hey, man, it's crazy. Here's a question. It says, somebody said that
he's an inspiration to many. Thank you, Kim. Thank you. He really is. And thank you, John, for sharing your story. And I have to bring you back.
I'd love to.
You come back anytime you want. Well,
just let us know, man.
We didn't get to talk about the AI stuff. AI.
We need to dive into that because I've got I have a plethora of things to talk about, especially in our business, John, what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's
not
crazy.
Gonna happen.
No, it's not going to happen. I don't.
Real quick, like 2 seconds. basically with what I do, I manually stretch my clients, I manually hold them in position, and until they make an AI robot that can come into someone's house and do that and not rip their arms off.
But exactly, it's not only
and they pull their head off. They're like, "Oh, I stretched your head too far."
Yeah, but not only are you their coach, their trainer, you become their friends. You share their experiences, and that can never be replaced by AI.
That's true.
The personal element can never. It won't have a soul. Might have all the answers, but it won't have a soul.
I agree.
So, well, John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Once again, John Frazier, Through the Pain, the Silent Suffering, and Triumph of a Personal Trainer. So you can get this on Amazon. Just search Through the Pain. And John, thank you so much. And you're definitely going to pop back on.
Well, we have to have him back. We have.
Yeah, no, and we'll go through the AI and we'll just talk.
And how do they reach you, John? I mean, if we have people who wants to, because you're in LA, right?
Yes, you can always go to my website. You have to excuse me. I think our time's up. The cuckoo clock's going to go off here.
I hear that.
You can hear that in the background. So,
Yeah.
Sorry. I can't do anything about
That's for
it.
you, Tony. You're cuckoo. So there you
Yeah,
go.
I know.
You're cuckoo.
For you. But my website is www.frazierfitness.net.
Okay.
And Frazier is FRAZIER, FrazierFitness.net. That's my website, and people can get a hold of me through there.
Check out his book,
Okay.
Through the Pain.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, John. We'll chat real soon.
All right.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you for sharing. Great guy. You know, I tell you, very knowledgeable, and he is an inspiration. There's no reason why people that sit on their couch and go, "Oh, I really want to, I should do something," but they don't take that first step.
And that's why I do. That's why I do what I do. We always want to tell our audience to please share, comment, subscribe, please, to our show, because what you do for us helps us to grow and reach a large.
Thank you for the comments that were coming in. We love to hear from you. So looking forward to next Sunday, man. I really enjoy it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And again, hey, we did it again, brother. Me and you. Michael should have something to talk.
Hopefully. I love Mike.
He's all the way in Sweden, so his time is limited a little bit, but he hasn't forgot us.
Yep. So
we'll see you guys next week.
Anyway,
next Sunday.
Tilly's partner of Salubrious Activities, Mr. Tony Hill. Have a blessed Sunday, buddy. Thank you. And thank you all for watching. Appreciate it.
Work them arms, work them legs, strong for life.